What's up, Cam?
Not much. How are you, Mitch?
I'm doing well. How are you?
You know, I am doing all right. Long week. Glad it's the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Very excited to be here.
Awesome. I asked my wife this morning because I was curious to see if she noticed something about the last episode that I noticed. We were far more awake the last episode because we did it in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And I think the show was a little different because of that. It was kind of funny.
Yeah, well, we usually record not early in the morning, but,
Early for some people.
well, yeah. Guilty is charged. And last episode we recorded on a different day at a later point, and yes, we were both a little more snappy. So
Well, we had both. I'm guessing you go to church in the morning, so I think we both.
we actually
both
no,
are
I go
up.
to we have church in the evening. We have a 5:00 service.
Well, at any rate, I was up doing stuff already, and and I'm assuming you were up doing stuff already, but
Yes.
it was, we were awake, we were ready to go, and now back to the sleepy schedule. So I sent you pictures of the winter wonderland we have up here.
Yeah, ours is a melted mess right now. It's very sad.
Yeah, we're, for people that see these pictures of, the white frosted trees and the landscape and think like that's Wisconsin or even northern the United States any time of the year, it's actually rather rare. The weather has just been perfect recently with what they refer to as freezing fog.
Yeah.
And
the trees do look super cool when they have that coating of snow on them. It's really picturesque.
So there was a encrusting of ice on the trees, and then with what they're referring to as freezing fog, because the fog was so thick it was freezing on the trees, it gave it a white appearance because it was more like snow clinging to the trees.
Yeah.
And it just was gorgeous. We
had that down here too. It's super. I was just driving and I was like, eyes on the road, like focus. I kept like, ooh, yeah. It's so pretty.
Well, we've got Cascade Mountain just outside of town where they do skiing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And the hill outside of the ski runs is all wooded. So I drove past there and it was just gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
That's a cool feature to have near here anyway, but because in the fall it's,
oh, I bet it's beautiful. Yeah.
It's gorgeous. Yeah. So, and then we live not far from the Baraboo Bluffs here as well, which is just beautiful to drive through. My wife and I went down to Black Earth, Wisconsin, to a really popular shoe store down there because I needed to get some shoes. And it was about a 50-minute drive, but it was like the roller coaster roads that they're sweeping in and out of the hills and up and down. Oh, just a beautiful drive. I wish we would have just driven it for pleasure, but we had a destination in mind, but it was just gorgeous.
You can still have some fun along the way, Mitch.
Oh, you kidding me? I got a Jeep. We had fun. It was good. That's the kind of road that Jeep's built to drive on. So, but anyway, this is the first show of the new year. And how do you feel about New Year's resolutions?
In general, not a fan. But that's only because I forget that I make them like by January 3rd. And I'm like, well, crap.
Yeah.
Got to wait a whole nother 362 days to try again.
Yeah. And quite honestly, I think that, normally, if it's not something that you normally do, it's really just setting yourself up for failure. It's like, how am I going to fail this year? That's kind of how I feel about it.
Let me count the ways.
Yep. So what my wife and I do is we set up we talked about it actually this morning because I wanted to get a feel for what she was thinking this year, but we come up with kind of a theme for the year, or sometimes I'll look at it as here's a goal that I want to accomplish this year.
Mm-hmm.
And then I can sit down and kind of map out how we're going to accomplish those goals. So the tricky bit as Christians is that we have to be, the goals that I put forward are not, hey, I'm going to go get a new job this year, because quite honestly, That's totally God's will as to whether or not I'm leaving a current position to going to another position or something like that. So that's not something that I like to set as a goal. What I've decided on this year is I want to put a app in the App Store this year.
Oh,
so
interesting.
As simple or as complicated as the app is, I've got an idea actually, and it's more has to do with my job. There's a little Python script that I wrote for doing a calculation for our, profit sharing that we do. And I thought, you know what? I'd love to turn this into some Swift code and build an app, and just get some experience learning how to do that. And then throw down my $100 for my developer account and throw it on the App Store and maybe charge 99 cents for it and see who's interested in purchasing something like that. I mean, it's obviously a very small audience for it, but I think it would be interesting, at least just to have the experience of getting it up on the App Store. So
yeah, that would be really interesting, from like a podcasting perspective of like knowing what that process looks like and how easy or difficult and, what are the hurdles and all of that sort of stuff. That'd be super cool. And I'm happy you're not making a task manager because that's everyone's first app.
So to be honest with you, I have a goal. I have a long-term goal in mind. Did you ever play, there was a game years ago called Poker Quest or
no, I'm not familiar.
Poker Dice, I think was the original or something like that. So Motion X now makes
Poker Dice.
Oh boy.
Sorry.
So there's a company called Motion X that really early on, I'm just ignoring you, made this great little casual gaming app that was just all it was you rolling dice in like a poker style. So you had 5 dice and you had to make the best poker hand out of those dice that you could. Mm-hmm. And you played against a computer player. And it was just the coolest little app for just like drop in, roll a few, drop, get out. There were times that I would sit and play for like an hour and a half. It was kind of got that next level syndrome. Oh, I'll play one more. I'll play one more. I'll play one. And it was just like this addicting little app. And I have ever since Motion X basically decided to get out of that business and go into doing stuff for larger businesses and corporations because a lot of their IP was really good for that. So they ditched all the consumer stuff and went into more of their business stuff. And so they pulled those apps from the App Store. And, there is no app that I miss more than that game. I mean, I do wonder sometimes if OmniFocus just pulled OmniFocus from the store, if I would miss it as much as I missed Poker Quest. Because it was just such a cool little like time waster. And so my long-term goal, I want to make another one of those. I want to make a dice rolling app. It was a beautiful app, used motion physics to like you'd shake your phone and the dice would roll. And you were watching the animation of the dice roll. You unlocked new dice sets and stuff like that. So you could use the dice set that you liked the best out of the ones that you had. So there was like some customization options there. There were different boards that you would unlock as you go, because obviously you were throwing the dice down on a board. So the decoration of that board would change as you moved up in levels. On the game. So there was a point to the game. You were kind of going through, and the Poker Quest itself was built on Egyptian gods, and you'd play Egyptian gods, and as you beat them, you'd move on to the next one, and you just keep playing different Egyptian gods, and each board was designed around that Egyptian god. So
interesting. And then at the end, you got to cross the sea on dry land, right? Free lap.
That could be. Otherwise,
and all of Pharaoh's men did the dead man float.
Sure. Oh, sometimes I wonder why we do this. Oh boy,
we're off to a great start today.
Are we awake today? Seems like it.
I'm very awake. I just sang on a podcast.
Yep, you did. So I've got no follow-up in the show doc today. So you have anything that you wanted to follow up on from past episodes?
Not that I can think of.
All right. Well, let's just move on to our first topic then. Did you want to introduce this topic?
Rumors, Mitch. Rumors. So, as any nerd will know, there are always rumors of what's coming, what's next, what's the latest product, what's the leak, what's the scuttlebutt going on at our favorite technology companies. And I found a tweet from Mac Rumors, which is a website dedicated to all of that silliness, predicting patent filings, hidden code, all of that stuff. Obviously focused on Apple related stuff because it's Mac Rumors. And they released a tweet that had a list of rumored products to expect from Apple in 2021. And as this is our first episode of the new year, we thought we would run down their list of rumors for the coming year and talk about them and offer our 2 cents. So, up first, the Apple Silicon iMac. What are your thoughts on this one, Mitch? As the owner of a new iMac.
First off, I want to say that I do not regret the purchase of this iMac whatsoever. I am, because of some of the growing pains of the Apple Silicon machines so far, I am super happy to have this right now. So in a few years, I'll probably be ready for an M series Mac. But as for right now, I'm loving this machine. I just put Windows on it this last week. So nana.
Feels dirty. But
you
got to do what you got to do.
But Apple Silicon iMacs, I think what I'm most excited about, and I'm not sure we're going to see it this year, is the redesign of the iMac.
I bet.
And the only reason I say that I'm a little bit tenuous about whether or not they're going to do a redesign is because it's not the way they've been doing things, and if you look at their history, they usually, like, the first 1 or 2 systems that are out with the new chips and stuff like that, they run on the old architecture for a while. And I think that, or the old hardware for a while before the redesign. And so I think the redesign we might see in 2022, in my opinion, but I don't think we're going to see it this year. So
I will counter that with I think they released the new iMac with the new chip and the new redesign.
All right. What do you think the redesign is going to look like?
The rumors say it's going to look like the iPad Pro, but just gargantuan because it's an iMac. So I vote redesign and Apple chip all in one fresh new iMac to get all the people's money.
Okay. All right. Any other aspects of that intrigue you, or you think might be coming with?
Yeah,
Face
ID.
ID.
Maybe. Who knows? But as the owner of an Apple chipped Mac, and knowing what my no fan underpowered MacBook Air can handle, which is a lot. Mm-hmm. I'm a bit terrified about what an iMac could do with a beefed up, M2, M1X, whatever they're going to call it, right? But a more powerful chip designed for a bigger computer. It's going to be an absolute beast, and that kind of terrifies me a little bit.
One of the reasons that I think they won't do the redesign this year is because I think that they're gonna do the redesign with the Face ID, and that's gonna be all part of that story. So possibly with touchscreen capabilities, possibly. And
you think
that's why
an iMac that's a touchscreen?
I think it's possible. Somebody posited on one of the podcasts I listened to this week, possibly MacBreak, that they would do a iMac that didn't have touch capability but could use the Apple Pencil. So it would be similar to a Surface Studio where the stand itself would fold down and you could use it for drawing and writing and those sorts of things. But it would not have you couldn't touch it with your finger and manipulate things.
Interesting.
The capability is there, whether, depending on how much capability they want to give it.
That would be a huge redesign, though, to build an iMac like that. So
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Not this year.
Interesting to see.
The other thing that they posited, and I think would be interesting to see, is if they do something similar to the iMac that they did with the Pro Display, where you buy the computer and then you choose the stand you want to go with it. And one of those stands is the stand that folds down.
The drafting desk style stand. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure for another, $1,000.
Well, definitely they've got it. They're going to have to adjust their prices for the device. But if you want to, because right now you can order your computer for wall mounting. I don't know if you've ever looked at that, but they have two different SKUs. You can order one for wall mounting and one with the stand. But you can't. What the problem with the if you get the one with the stand, you can't wall mount that. Not easily. There are wall mounts that third parties make that use the stand for the wall mount. As I was looking into this because I was trying to decide whether or not I wanted to get the wall mounted computer or go with the stand, and I decided, well, I have some flexibility with the one with the stand if I ever do want to wall mount it or put it up on a shelf or do something like that. But the wall mounted one, and it's hard to find, quite honestly. They don't make it super easy to just say, hey, I want the wall mounted one. But I think part of that is because they don't want it to be confusing. So, but at any rate, yeah, you can order it in two different SKUs on the website, one with a stand, one without a stand. So if they added one more SKU on there to say, okay, well, you could get the drafting style stand with it, I think that would be interesting.
Yeah, we shall see.
All right. Let's talk about AirPods.
AirPods 3 is the rumor. And so this is different than obviously the AirPods Pro, which we'll talk about later. So this is the next iteration on the original AirPods, which I got to say, I'm still annoyed with the AirPods Pro that I have to click a button to interact instead of just tapping. That's still, after months of having the AirPods Pro, it still annoys me every single time. So,
and I'm going to disagree so much with you on that because I prefer that experience.
Oh, I hate it so much.
Yeah, that whole tapping on the ear thing
just makes me crazy. Especially in the wintertime, like when you have gloves on.
Yeah.
Like, just let me. The tap is so much more. It's easier. It is much more forgiving in a lot of contexts. And plus I don't like the noise it makes when you click on the button in your ear. It's like I just don't I everything about the experience of having to click a physical button on a much shorter stem I despise. I love the silicon tips, I love the noise canceling, all of that stuff is great. I want the tapping back. I hate the physical button and everything about it. It's infuriating.
Well, I strongly disagree with you on that. Those are things I love about this device. So, and did I ever show you what I did? I have the foam tips. I bought foam tips for mine.
Really?
So these are like the more earplug design where you can squeeze them in and then seat them in your ear, and they really fill out the ear canal so that they don't come out as easy, and they're nice. I like them.
I didn't know you could mod your AirPods like that.
You sure
but
can.
Anyways, the rumor is AirPods 3, so a new take on the original AirPods design. Obviously, the first AirPods didn't have a charging case or a wireless charging case. And the second version, I believe, did. So I'm interested to see what the third version of the originals looks like. Who knows? We shall see. But there is a rumored third version of the original AirPods coming.
Shorter stems.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. There's that possibility.
I think that was part of the rumor on those.
Yeah, and that would make the most sense, is to make them look more like the Pros, but obviously they don't have noise canceling and, all that stuff. So they're entry-level AirPods. The next rumor is a new iPad Pro, which is interesting because they just released new versions of the iPad Pro this year.
Mm-hmm.
I have one. It's amazing. So obviously it's going to be a chip rev, right? The A13 Bionic, or whatever they're going to call it. But I'm interested to see if it's just a new chip or if there are new features that come along. I mean, obviously we're talking a new version of iOS, right? It's going to come with that. But it'll be interesting to see what the new version can actually offer outside of just a more powerful chip or a faster chip, and they show those graphs. It's, 20 times faster than the chip from 4 years ago, and, yada, yada, yada.
So you're thinking just a chip upgrade?
Well, I'm trying to consider, like, they're not going to redesign the hardware.
Yeah.
So that's out. Maybe, I mean, they're probably not going to up the base storage amount because they just did that recently. I mean, obviously,
it's really hard to
newer
say.
Cameras, right? They always update the cameras every year. So I don't. They've got True Tone. They've got HDR, whatever, this and that, and the screens and graphics and color, wide PC3 wide color gamut, all that stuff. So I'm going through the list of features, and I'm not seeing a bunch of places where they can change or upgrade things that they haven't done already. So I'm curious I could again be absolutely incorrect here, but to me it seems like, unless they're going to do something unforeseen, it seems just like a chip bump is going to be the newest iPad Pro.
Yeah, I don't, man, it's tough because they just released the iPad Air this year that just totally challenges the concept of what the iPad Pro should look like.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a part of me that thinks there's got to be something that they're going to do with this machine that is going to just blow the air out of the water. But otherwise, you can't argue for the two SKUs because the iPad Air is such a capable machine.
Yeah.
So you can't differentiate it by color. It's got to do more than just look cool. So.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Mitch. That's a really good point. So we'll see if they prove me wrong.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting. The next item that you have here, or I should say Mac Rumors had in their list, is iOS 15.
Yeah, bold prediction there, guys.
Right.
way to go on the ledge there.
Yeah, they're gonna take a year off of iterating iOS. Yeah, that's
actually iOS 14.5. It's a Snow Leopard release.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So what do you think?
I mean, yeah, it's happening. We all know this.
Mm-hmm.
Like this, as sure as the sun will set today. And
okay, so let me refine my question. What do you think they're going to do?
I honestly have no idea. I have no idea what they're going to do in 15.
So I definitely think there's some refinements that need to be done to widgets. I'd love to see more on the iPad because they didn't talk about an iPad OS as a separate thing here. So I'm going to assume that iOS 15 is bundling in iPad.
If iOS 15 does not get our widgets out of jail on the iPad, I'm going to riot. I need to be able to put them where I want them on my iPad, and I want the app library on the iPad, Mitch.
I
have not been mad about this in like 10 episodes, and I get to be mad about it again now because we're talking about it. This is so dumb. I want the app library, and I want my widgets where I want my widgets on my iPad. Don't put them in jail on the left-hand side. That's so stupid.
So I am 100% with you on the app library. I'm 75% with you on the widgets.
Bro, I'm at like 1,000%. So your 75 needs to get a little more excited. Okay, I'm passionately upset about this. This is so stupid.
Yeah,
and I get the rotating your device thing, but we already have a solution for this. Change the sizes of the widgets on the iPad so that they are square. Like it's
a solvable problem.
It is. And it's a very dumb one to have. And the reasons that Apple have put out for their PR for why they didn't do it make no sense. And they're very stupid.
So, well, I think that we'll likely see something like that this year. I think we'll probably see more customization for the iPhone after Widgetsmith blows up and custom icons blew up this last year.
Can we talk about Widgetsmith for a minute?
Sure.
I don't understand how that became such a big thing. Like, David Smith makes great apps. We know this, right?
Yep.
They are all ugly. And I don't understand why everyone loves them so much. Like, I'm not like, I don't know the guy. Everyone that I listen to on podcasts seems to love him. So apparently, great dude. I'm not judging his character. I'm just saying he needs to hire a designer because his apps are all ugly. And I don't get why everyone loves them so much. Like, Widgetsmith is not pretty and it doesn't make pretty widgets. I don't get it. They're ugly and it's frustrating. Like, good for him. I'm happy for an indie developer blowing up and having his, like, I'm like super happy for him. But he needs someone with design taste to help him. Because if Widgetsmith was pretty, imagine what it could have actually, I mean, it blew up already. But goodness, if you could do pretty things with it, or if his apps were actually designed well from, an aesthetic standpoint, holy crap. He could never make another app again and be set. So, like, I love that an indie developer is getting all of this attention and getting all this credit and really impacting the way people use their phones and their devices. Like, all of that is good. But he needs a designer so bad.
So I'm laughing over here because you're the first person that has come out and said something like that. And I've been thinking that this whole time. Because his apps are
one of those,
ugly.
like, I'm listening to the podcast and I'm like, why is no one talking about the elephant in the room? They're not attractive. They're not good looking. They're ugly.
And you do wonder if some of that isn't because they know the guy. But
yeah, and again, this is not an indictment of him as a human.
No,
Everything I've heard about him is he's a great guy. Everybody loves him, and I'm super happy for him. But dude, use some of that money you just came into and get a designer, because woof. That's all I wanted to say about Widgetsmith. Sorry, I had to get on my soapbox there for a minute, Mitch.
I had to turn my mic off because I was refilling my coffee, so figured I'd let you go for a minute here. But no, 100%. Like, I think the widgets that come out of that, I've worked in Widgetsmith to try and make some really cool little apps or little widgets, and I've mixed results on them. But yeah, the customizability that's offered in that app is cool. I like the concepts and I like the abilities that it has, but you're right, like, they're not attractive. So either they're super opinionated or they're just like, he needs to hire a designer.
Well, and that's the thing too, is you can tell he's trying really hard to make them look good.
Yeah.
And it's just not working.
Yeah. He's an engineer, not a designer. Yeah.
But again,
so he has
all
opinions
the credit to him for his success.
Yeah.
He
has opinions about monospace fonts probably, but beyond that. So I do think that there's a possibility we could see theming this year from Apple.
What do you mean by theming?
So let's say you go into settings, and there'll be a section that'll be referred to as theme.
Okay.
Which basically will allow you to theme and it's only going to be the Apple icons, but perhaps there'll be a way for us to kind of go in with, I mean, developers will probably have the ability to create custom icons to match those themes, but they're still going to be Apple approved themes. But you'll be able to change the look and feel of the device. Maybe they'll have like the original icons. You can go back to that ugly skeuomorphic design that they did years ago, or
iOS 5 theme. Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, you can go back and do some of that, and maybe they'll have some really cool new ideas of what the apps look like, or the app icons look like, and stuff like that. So you'll be able to theme your home screen to your liking. So. And maybe they'll actually make a transparent widget that doesn't have to have the name underneath it.
Oh, wouldn't that be glorious?
One could only hope. Although I will tell you, what was the name of the app? ClearSpace, I think. That
you were messing with?
Yeah, I don't know if we talked about this on the show or not.
I don't think we did. I think that was, you were just showing me via text.
Yeah. But there's an app called, I'll look it up here and see if I can find it. Ridiculous. So I believe it's called ClearSpace. Do you have it there? Because I'm running the beta, and the beta doesn't have a name on it.
No, I do not have it on my phone.
Okay. So I think it's called ClearSpace, if my memory serves. I'll do some digging as we're talking here. But what that app does is it gives you the ability to, and what it essentially does is you take a screenshot of your home screen, and then you can set a day view and a night view. And what it does is it creates a widget that is the same, that matches your background. So essentially the idea is that it makes it look transparent. It doesn't work perfectly. I mean, it does create a transparent look to it. But first off, the regular app has the name of the app underneath it, like all the other widgets do, because that's the way it works. And even though it's stupid, but they have a beta version of that app that doesn't have the name underneath it, because essentially what they've done, you can't put an app in the App Store that doesn't have a name. But the beta version of the app doesn't have a name listed. So I think that's how they're hacking around that. So the name is just blank. So on the home screen, you just see nothing for the name. So
that is nice.
But it is really cool how he kind of hacked around that whole idea and that capability. So, and I don't know if I'm ever going to find this, but I'll dig it up as we go here, and we'll follow up a little bit later on that. But yeah, so theming, I think, is going to be a really cool concept if they can pull it off in a way that's satisfying. I think that's going to be the key.
All right. Shall we move on down our list?
Okay. Real-time follow-up, I guess it's called. The app is indeed called ClearSpaces.
Very important.
And when you open the app for the first time, there is a text link at the bottom that says get rid of the name under the widget by running this beta. And you just click on that and you can download the test flight beta. So
nice.
All right. Anything else you think that we're going to see in iOS 15? I mean, they're probably going to be a new app, but I'm not sure what that would be. Maybe a new Clips app or something.
Don't get your hopes up. I mean, nothing's coming to mind right now. I'm sure, as the year rolls on, we'll have, ideas or insights, but yeah, we'll see.
Right now, just the theming and widget updates and stuff like that. I really hope to see more dynamic widgets. I don't know if we ever will, but that would be a really cool thing to see, where the widgets themselves can update more frequently, and maybe that's going to take some hardware updates to be able to do that. But I think that a lot of I'm got the 11 Pro Max in my hand right now, and this thing should be powerful enough to power multiple widgets on the screen if they're doing live updating and stuff. So
yeah, I think it's just a matter of time that those reins will loosen.
They're going to have to probably drop out some of the older phones out of the update to make that happen, because there's probably phones in the lineup that can't do it. But
yeah, and I think you're absolutely right.
So, all right, so this next one I want to say with a little bit of a question mark in my voice. Mac OS 12.
Why the question mark?
So there's a little bit of debate whether or not we're going to see Mac OS 12 or if it's going to be Mac OS 11 point whatever. Because of the history with the Mac OS 10, I mean, we had Mac OS 10 for how long? 10,
Forever.
15 years? And so it was just iterating on that number. I do agree that I think that they're going to start doing a number iteration every year. So it'll be I think it'll be Mac OS 12 this year too, but there is some debate about that, whether or not it's going to move up to 12, or maybe it's going to be like an 11.2 or 11.3 that then will come with a different
honestly though, I don't really think the number matters. I'm more interested in what silly name it's going to get.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's so many names on the
Mac OS LA County.
I mean, I've seen Sequoia. I think Sequoia would be cool. I've seen some other ones that...
and eventually they're going to have to do it with iOS, right? Because, like, let's be honest, iOS 15 is a ridiculous name. 15? Like, we better not get into the 20s.
Yeah.
It's just, because then it's like, I don't know. It's just dumb at that point.
Yeah. So either that or it just becomes... I mean, they still have the number attached to it, but it just becomes iOS and iPadOS.
Exactly. You know? The new version, new one.
Because I mean, Google does it with Google Chrome. You don't see Google Chrome 156, you know. but if you look at their documentation, it is Google Chrome like 30 something or 40. So I'm not even sure where they're at right now. But they do iterate their number almost every big update. So.
And the only reason the number has been important to this point is because Apple's made it important, you know?
Mm-hmm. So I look for the day when it's not the iPhone 12 anymore. It's the iPhone. You know, it's we don't have to worry about, you know, on number.
But it'll never be the iPhone. It'll just be iPhone, because Apple doesn't like to speak English properly.
Oh no, it won't be the iPhone. It'll just be iPhone. I agree.
Yes, we love iPad. I also love lamp, but you know, that's fine. Whatever.
Yeah.
It drives me nuts when Apple's just like, English, not important.
The iPads Pro.
Stop it.
AirPods Pro. It is AirPods. I suppose that there's two of them.
There's two of them.
Yeah.
Two means plural, so it gets an S.
Yeah. And I totally forgot to drop a footnote for this one. So.
All right.
What do you think we're going to see? No, let's stop. What do you think we're going to see in Mac OS 12? Any suggestions?
I think we're going to see a new and improved Safari, like we do every year.
I think you got that one right.
It's going to be faster. It's going to be more private. And it's still going to show me my websites like I like it to. That's what I think we're going to see.
I think you got 4 or 5 points right there.
I know, man. I'm winning.
We'll score that right off the top. So there's something that has been. I think first off, you'll probably see better integration of iPhone and iPad apps.
Yes,
with M1 or the M series chips, and we'll probably talk about that here coming up in a little bit. But because we are going to talk about the Macs and stuff here, but the one thing that's really kind of been bugging me, and I think it's the same thing that bugs you on the iPad, is that I would love, and it's even worse on the Mac, I would love to see the widgets on the home screen. I would love to have widgets on my desktop.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm surprised somebody hasn't figured out how to hack that. Because years ago with Dashboard, somebody had an app that could pull dashboard widgets out onto your desktop. And so for me, like, I want widgets on my desktop. They serve no purpose in my notifications thing. You know, unless somehow they could make that a static thing on the side of the page, which I would probably hate. But if I could open up the notification pane, grab a widget and pull it out onto the desktop and it could live on the desktop, I would be super happy with that.
Yeah, I honestly forgot my Mac had widgets until just now for that very reason. Because I never click on the menu bar to open that.
Yeah.
I just have notifications on my Mac turned off. I just don't just leave me alone.
I think it's a bit of a fail in Big Sur that you click on the clock now to get the notifications open.
Oh yeah,
instead of the little notification widget. Yeah.
It turns out at some point I added widgets to this view. Completely forgot I did that. There's my baby. She's really cute.
Sweet.
It's a photos widget.
You know, I got to tell you, the photos widget, I take a lot of pictures at work. I do not want to see those pictures in the photo widget, because it's like we had a really nasty truck, you know, the pallet was destroyed and all this kind of stuff, and I got to take pictures to send off. And so I take pictures on my phone. I don't need to see those pictures on my photo widget.
Well, then you should delete them, Mitch.
Yeah.
I mean, hashtag machine learning isn't doing his job, apparently.
No. Anyway, I don't have much else beyond that when it comes to macOS. Just clean up. I think this year should be, and it's probably not going to be, but it should be a year to just get a lot of the bugs and stuff straight so that it's running nice and smoothly.
Yeah, and I'm sure, like you said, there'll be some optimizations for the M chips, you know, because they'll have more computers on Apple Silicon than they did when they released Big Sur, which was 0. Mm-hmm. Well, obviously there was, you know, they made sure that Big Sur could run on those chips because they were planning them. But it's a mature platform, right? So there's not going to be anything terribly shocking. It's just going to be more refinement. And I'm okay with that because I love my Macs. My MacBook Air with the M1 chip is the best computer I've ever owned. Ever. I love it. It's amazing. So, yes, just refinements, please. And great. I'll be so happy with that.
All right. Well, you want to move on to the Macs?
MacBook Pro 14.1 and 16.1 inch versions, because that extra 10th, Mitch, very important.
Sure. we're all going to call them 14 and 16 inch, but you know, we do have to be precise. So what do you think?
Well, obviously Apple Silicon, right? Now, what's going to be interesting is how beefy this chip is, right? Because the current Apple Silicon chips can only support 2 Thunderbolt/USB-C ports. The 16-inch MacBook Pro has 4 currently. So we're obviously going to see a new chip, because I highly, highly doubt they're going to ship this 16-inch without 4 ports. Because that's a step in the wrong direction, and people are going to riot over that, especially because they charge an absolute premium for the 16-inch machine. So I'm interested to see battery life, power, efficiency, all of those metrics for the, you know, the 1X, the 2, you know, who cares what they name it? The chip that can power the more powerful machine. Because what the M1 can do is ridiculous, and we've talked about this in the past, so you don't need to go through all of that. What in the world is this next chip going to do? Because And, we said before, the M1 chip that's in my MacBook Air, that is the cheapest, slowest, least powerful machine Apple's going to release in the next forever, right? And it's amazing. So what are these new MacBook Pros going to be capable of? And it's very exciting. I'm not going to pay for one, because I have a brand new computer, 2, because it's going to be insane, 3, because I don't have that kind of money, right? But holy crap, is it going to be fun to look at that spec sheet and go to the Apple Store when we can go to the Apple Store again and play with one.
Yeah. And they're going to at least have to give us 4.
Oh, no. I fully expect
Thunderbolt 3.
I fully expect this rev of the MacBook Pro to be what's the word? The workhorse machine. Mm-hmm. They've given us the low end MacBook Pro and the MacBook Air already, so there's absolutely no reason this next version of the MacBook Pro isn't the beast that we're expecting it to be.
Yeah. The one thing that really concerns me about going back to the iMac is that the iMac's going to lose a bunch of ports with the M series chips.
Well, because the Mac Mini did lose a bunch of ports when they released it, but they also released it with this base chip. So I'm assuming if they're going to do the iMac, they're going to give it a chip that can handle more I/O because it is a desktop. Mm-hmm. Or if we're, the other possibility is Dongle Town, right? Which is not fun, but
so especially with a desktop computer, I know. Apple looks at it and says, well, it's not moving anywhere, so you can put a hub on it. That's probably how they would sell that if they decide to take your USB-A ports away and stuff like that. But quite honestly, it looks junky.
Yeah.
For me, I want a nice, clean desk. If you looked at my desk right now, you might argue with that. But, but I want a nice, clean, minimal, in quotes, look on my desk. I don't want a bunch of clutter. I don't want cords going everywhere. That's why I spend so much time with cable management. When I built my desk here, I built it with a shelf underneath it that it's just a big trough that all the cables just lay in this trough. So that I don't have to worry about where all the cables going and how are they being attached to this and that and the other thing, to try and keep it all clean. They just go in this trough and they're out of my way and I don't have to worry about them. Yeah. So, that's a big deal to me, to make sure that, number one, it's easy, because a lot of the cable management options that they put out there are great when you first put them in, but then when you go to try and pull a cable out, you can't get it out because you've done a great job of cable management, but now you can't use it. So I got to put that lightning cable back where it was because I was just pulling on one. But so it has to be functional as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I'm sorry, go back to the MacBook Pro. I think you're right. I think this is going to be a screaming chip. And if you ask me, I think that it's going to be an M1X in the MacBook Pros and an M1Z in the iMacs. That's my prediction for naming.
All right, write it down. Write it down. We got to have this.
I'll get that in our document here.
Yeah, we got to have proof so that we can make fun of each other when we're wrong later.
Correct.
or exalt each other when we're right.
Yep. Correct. Anything else about the MacBook Pros? You think they get redesigned this year?
Probably not.
I don't
think so either, right? They got the keyboard fixed. They look pretty. It just put an absolute monster chip in it and make your money, Apple.
Yep. And I think with the iMac, we're going to see probably a 21 or a 24 inch, something in there. I don't think we'll see the 27 inch get revved this year. That's another prediction.
Not a prediction, Mitch. It's a spoiler.
All right. I won't make that joke. All right. iPhone 13.
Yeah, new iPhone. Woohoo.
This is going out on a limb again, too.
I know, right? So here's my prediction. It'll have a better camera.
I saw something and it might have even been Mac Rumors saying that they didn't think they would rev the cameras this year, which that would be.
That's a bold statement.
That is a bold statement.
Well, I'll go out on a limb and say they will.
Okay.
Take that, Mac Rumors.
How about they'll rev the software, but not the hardware?
No.
Okay.
Like, and I'm in line for a new iPhone because I have the 11, right? And my 2-year deal will be up or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I don't care anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're really good. Okay, great. I don't even know what they would have to do to get me excited about a new phone.
Right.
Because they're really good and they've been really good for a long time. So let's just keep making them really good and I'll be fine.
Yep.
I don't get the hype every year.
Yeah, and when we bought the 11s, I did kind of make the comment to my wife, and I'm not holding myself to this, but if there's nothing super fancy or earth shattering about the 13, why do I update?
Yeah.
5G is not going to do it for me.
5G.
Yeah.
5G.
Stop
5G.
Stop it. That meme is so ridiculous.
5G.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm done, I promise.
All right. No, you're not.
No, really, I'm good.
All right. So I think, the 13, I'll probably end up upgrading because we do every 2 years. But what I'm interested in is where I'm going to be sitting on size, because I'm a Max user right now, and I don't know if I need a phone this big. For one, I like using my phones one-handed. Now I've got big hands, so the closer we move them to the camera, they look bigger. But so I got big hands, so this phone fits my hand really well. But the problem is one thing I really liked about the smaller phones is you could reach things with your thumb instead of having to use two hands or sit there and do jockey the phone in your hand to get up to the top of it and then jockey it back down. And
you could use reachability, Max.
I could, but that doesn't really solve the problem very well. I do love your idea of getting the icons down further on the screen, which I have taken advantage of that.
Yes.
Yeah,
it's a hack, though, for sure.
Yeah, so that's where I put my widgets. I put my widgets on the top so that I have the icons and stuff that I need to interact with at the bottom. So
it's a pro move.
Mm-hmm. It's nice. Hey, did you see what's on the front page of my iPhone down in the corner there? I changed the color of the icon, but
I can't read.
You mentioned Good Task to me yesterday. It's on the front page of my. We'll talk about that later. But
yeah. Oh, we will, Mitch. We will talk about it later.
Let's talk about that later. All right. So no real strong predictions on the iPhone 13, other than we're going to have one.
So. Yes, we will have a new iPhone.
Excellent. We can agree on that. The iPhone SE Plus.
Okay, isn't this just the iPhone? Because the SE is a smaller version. So isn't the SE Plus just the iPhone? I'm so confused here.
So, first off, the rumor is now that that's not happening.
So we're not getting a new iPhone.
We're not getting a new iPhone SE Plus. But, no, it's going to be the iPhone SE Max. No, I'm kidding. My understanding of this was that it was supposed to be a bigger version of the iPhone SE, which, okay, if it's important to have a big phone with a fingerprint reader on it, okay. And, I mean, if you think of the form factor of an iPhone 6 Plus, maybe, or 6S Plus, or maybe better to say an 8 Plus is probably the most recent one. But in that form factor, okay, maybe, but it's definitely going to be a niche market. I don't think you're going to sell a lot of them, which is probably why the rumor is now it's not going to happen. So,
well, that's good because SE Plus is just dumb.
Yeah, agreed. Oh, so we can move on to the Apple Watch.
I have nothing else to say about that. The watch, Series 7 and SE2. Okay, cool. It's a new year. You're going to put new hardware out. We get it. There was, they've made pretty big strides in the past couple of years with the watches. Always on screen, better battery life. You can, ECG and blood oxygen. So I imagine this new watch will be able to do more things in the health arena. I'm good. I got a Series 6. I'm going to wear that sucker until the screen pops off like my Series 0 did.
Yeah.
I will just play a lot less air drums when I have my watch on, so I can prolong that inevitability.
So I will probably look at upgrading this year. I've got a Series 4. And 3 years is around my upgrade time, and my why is this? My Apple Care Plus on my watch, and that term ends in April, and I've got significant scratches on the face of this watch.
Mm-hmm.
So really what I want, and I thought about doing this with a 6, but just for money reasons I haven't upgraded. But this watch still works really nice. Mm-hmm. But it'd be really nice to have a watch for work that I can beat up, and a watch for every other time of my life that I'm not beating the crap out of my watch, so that I don't have to feel bad about this one getting scratched up and stuff. Mm-hmm. So I'm really hoping that the screen breaks or something happens to it before April, so I can just trade it in for a different one. But we'll see what happens. So I really thought there's a couple of scratches on here that are so deep that I thought, shoot, I bet you if I took this in, these might actually be cracks, not scratches. But it's hard to tell, so I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
But I do find the possibility of a round Apple Watch interesting.
Yes.
Obviously, there's going to be a lot of display differences, and there may be an argument for there being a square and a round watch at the same time. But to me, watches should be round. It's just my opinion.
Yeah, and honestly, with the release of the SE, I'm kind of surprised they didn't make that one round. Yeah, obviously that puts a burden on developers because they have to, create 2 versions of their watch apps.
This is true.
And you change, all those corner widgets go away. Mm-hmm. So you'd only have the internal widgets, or complications. Sorry.
Complications. Got it. You're doing it now.
Yeah.
I've affected you.
But man, yeah, a round one would be, look like a normal watch instead of a Airstream trailer.
Mm-hmm. I could imagine a watch that would still have something around the outside edges, but it would have to be round. It couldn't, you couldn't have like the little icon in the corner. It would have to be moved in. So I could still imagine the infograph face being able to be used on something like that. It just would change. It would have to change the way it works. Mm-hmm. Or better yet, there would be space in between. Good grief. All right, I'm just going to bow out of that one because now I'm really shoving crap into the watch face. But you got the round dots in the middle. There's space in between them. Gosh, that would look terrible. Never mind. I should have thought before I mentioned that.
All right. Good.
So I think the Series 7, not discounting the fact that it is the perfect number, I think should be fun. Should be interesting. So I think it'd be a good year to upgrade this year, for me at least.
Yeah, we'll see. And like, I didn't mean to be so flippant earlier, but like, I mean, the watch does really cool stuff, and I expect it to do cooler stuff. But like I said, I have a 6. I'm good, man. I'm gonna wear this thing till it breaks.
Mm-hmm. So talk about this next one, AirTags.
Yeah, right.
I don't know, man. Nobody's going anywhere right now.
You think that's why they didn't release it in 2020?
That's the rumor, but that's what
funny.
people have posited, is that nobody's really going out and doing that much right now. So the market's really not there for it.
Oh, I hadn't even considered that. That's so funny. Oh my goodness.
This is where you and I listening to different podcasts helps, because that's all I've heard about this.
Oh yeah, no, I hadn't even heard that, and it makes a bunch of sense. That's really funny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no one's going anywhere. That's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll believe it when I see it. And I really, honestly,
same here.
This is a product I don't care about at all.
You know, John Prosser put out some renders of it this last week. I don't buy it. The renders had way too much writing on the backside of it to be an Apple product, unless it's, you know, and they talked about this a little bit, I think, on MacBreak Weekly this last week. But it just, it doesn't look like an Apple product.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to me, what I expect is a little white puck that's got an Apple logo on the top, and that's it. Maybe a charging port on the side if it has a rechargeable battery.
You know, it's
in it.
going to say "Made in California" somewhere.
Oh no, it'll say, you know, designed in California, made in China. But yeah,
it's a product I literally could not care less about. So that's my take on the AirTags.
Yeah.
If they come out in 2021, great.
There's not a lot that Apple puts out that I look at and go, man, I don't even want that. I don't even care. I mean, there's things that I want that Apple has that I'm just never going to buy because they're way too expensive. Mac Pro being one of them, because I think that would be a really cool device to have. But no, I can't justify that expense. But AirTags, I mean, they could put them out for $50, and man, you know, somebody gives me a $50 Apple card and I got nothing else to spend it on. Yeah, I'll probably get another band for my watch.
I need to get a new band for my watch because I got the white one, because it looks, the white band with the black watch face looks extra crisp. It's turning blue from my jeans.
Yeah.
So that's not cool. You
know where it's at? Nike Plus. Desert Sand and Black. I'm surprised you haven't looked at that one.
No,
that seems like your color scheme.
They're so expensive. It's like
this one was $50.
Yeah,
so.
I'll probably just get a black one and just go black on black. But
all right. New Apple TV.
Apple television.
Are we talking about the television here or just the Apple TV?
Oh no, the TV. I just was.
Okay, I was going to say
TV stands for television, Mitch. I don't know if anyone's told you this before.
I realized that, but the way you said it, I was like,
no, it's just like when people
You're not talking about the television set that was rumored years ago. But
it's like when people call it the Macintosh Book Air, just to be stupid and pedantic, and it makes me chuckle every time. So I like to do that. The Apple Television set-top box.
Yeah.
There's a new one. I'm like, what? I'm being super negative this whole back half of this list, but like, I have the 4K one because I have a 4K TV, and I realize that not everything on the Apple TV 4K is 4K. I know, I get it, but the stuff that looks amazing on my TV. I don't need a new TV. I've had this TV for 2 years ish, and I won't buy a new one until it blows up. I have an Apple TV that plays 4K media when available. What is the new one going to offer me? I don't use anywhere near the storage that's on this device because I'm not playing games on it, because I have other ways to play better video games on better machines that handle it better with better controllers. Everything is streamed. I do own about 15 movies that are, in my Apple TV library. But again, I'm using 10% of my storage capacity on this device. what does a new Apple TV set-top box offer me that I don't already have and that I actually need? No one needs 4K.
New remote.
What's wrong with the current remote?
A better remote. What's wrong with the remote?
The remote doesn't bother me. It's fine.
Okay.
I realize I'm in the minority there. Hi, card-carrying member of the minority of the folks that don't hate the Apple TV remote. It's fine.
So I'm going to be honest here. I hear
Please
about people dissing on the remote all the time. I don't find it that offensive, but I do understand when it's sitting on the couch and you reach over and your finger swipes on it a little bit and it rewinds the video or it selects something that you didn't want to select. You do have to be careful with it, and you do have to put it somewhere where it's not going to get bumped or whatever. But the problems that some people have with them, I don't have. I haven't ever had it sitting on the couch next to me and swipe across it and end up rewinding with the video I was watching. But I have heard people say that they've done that before. But I don't like the way it works for skipping ahead or behind, where you have to put your thumb off the one edge. That does not work consistently for me.
That is a legitimate grief. I can agree.
I would love to have a hardware button for that.
And I also find that depending on what app you're using, you have greater or less success with that.
Yeah, and I practically live in the Hulu app. And granted, the Hulu app could be a little bit more user-friendly for some of this stuff, but it has gotten better since the first iteration of this version of the Hulu app. But it's really easy when you're swiping around on that little pad to over swipe. It's not super intuitive that way. I think using the app on the phone is a little bit easier, but it's not super easy to kind of get that precision sometimes, because you'll start on one menu option and you want to sweep over 2 menu options, but you'll sweep 3 menu options over instead. And then you got to try and back up, and then you back up 2 instead of 1. And that happens to me on a regular basis. You have to understand, I got big hands. So it's really easy for me to swipe a little bit too far one way or the other. So to have a hardware button, and actually, I don't know if you've done this or know that you can do this, but you can tap on the remote to move around too. So sometimes I'll do that for precision reasons. So if I move over 1 too many, I'll just tap on the other side of the remote and it'll pop over 1. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I discovered that one day, and being a guy that has difficulty with this, I started using that. So, but I like hardware buttons. The little touchpad is a nice innovation, but practically it's a little bit difficult to use. I also think that there's a room for Apple to offer their own controller, so that you're not using, I mean, maybe it's just a money grab for them, but they would have a controller, like a gaming set that you could buy for the Apple TV. I know that gaming is not a big thing on the Apple TV, but if they really wanted to do this, they were talking on one of the podcasts I was listening to the other day about if they tried to sell the Apple TV as a console, gaming system, and what that would look like. And what I find interesting about that is, number one, they would have to have some kind of service or something like that would offer AAA titles. And being that they're not interested in Google Stadia or some of those other streaming services, and with the possibility of maybe that's a area that they want to move into themselves, then, because I could see them doing streaming that way, like streaming games instead of loading the games directly onto the device, and then they have a little bit more ability to have some of these larger AAA titles, and they don't need like a 2 terabyte drive on the Apple TV to do that.
Yeah.
So I think that could be a big revolution they could make in the Apple TV. Whether we'll see it or not, I don't know. Probably not. but you can bring your own controller to it, or Apple offers a controller that you could purchase to go with it.
We'll see.
It'll be nice for them and Epic to get over themselves so that we can play Fortnite again on Apple devices.
Yeah, good luck with that.
So I've been playing on the Switch, having a lot of fun, but I hit level 84 this last week in the new season.
Oh, look at you.
I'm almost there. I'm almost to 100.
I'm only at like 47.
Yeah.
Slacking over here.
Yeah, it's all right. You want to move on to the iPad mini?
I do, because I actually find the iPad mini very intriguing. The fact that it's like gotten some love recently and in theory will get more love in the future is encouraging. There are a lot of people that own these just to like use as like reading devices, which I think is hysterical that you're paying multiple hundreds of dollars just to have something you read on. But that's their choice and their money, and they get to do what they want. But I do find the mini intriguing because it kind of stands alone in the iPad line as far as like it's just so itty bitty. And there's something really appealing about that. I don't own one, but I would like to because of its itty bittiness. And I don't have a Max phone, so it's not like they're, competing for, the same real estate. But there's just, for whatever reason, the compact nature of the mini is intriguing to me. And I can't really say why, which I realize is not great for podcasting, but there's something about the smaller form factor that is appealing to me. And if the iPad mini 6 gets Apple Pencil 2 support, that goes with the Pro, that'd be a big selling point for it. But yeah, I don't know. I wish I could say more. I'm happy that it's still around, and I'm happy that it got revved, and it's going to, in theory, get revved again this year. So I'm interested to see if they make it, like if they add Face ID and ditch the home button, and make it a mini iPad Pro or iPad Air, or if they keep it with, the Touch ID and, the chin and the forehead and all that sort of stuff. So we'll see design wise what they choose to do, but I'm just glad it's a product and it exists because I think it serves a role in the line. And it's nice that if you want an iPad, you can get a small one if you want. Look, I could be positive, Mitch. Who knew?
You can. I'm going to be negative here. I don't think they're going to get an update this year.
Ah.
I think that's one of those that I think they're only going to rev that every couple of years, every 2-3 years maybe. I don't think it's a big enough seller for them to put that much work into it. So see what happens. But that's my prediction for this year.
Man, such a downer, Mitch.
No, it's just, it's a
I'm just messing with you, dude.
just a thing. So
just a thing.
Just a thing. All right, talk about AirPods Pro
2.
AirPods Pro 2. What's to say?
Honestly, what you can buy them with or without wireless charging cases. The stems
can you buy them without?
Yeah, mine don't. Pretty sure because mine don't charge wirelessly.
I don't think you can buy them without wireless charging.
Let's ask the internet.
All right.
Do AirPods Pro charge wirelessly? The case that comes. Oh, I guess mine do charge wirelessly. I thought there was 2 different versions.
The regular AirPods had 2 different versions. I think going forward, they're all going to have the wireless in them. But the AirPods Pro, I don't think there has ever been a version that didn't have wireless charging in the case.
Well, today I learned.
All
right, great. So anyways, as I was saying, my AirPods Pro charge wirelessly, and it's great. And, the stems are already super short. You know what I would love the AirPods Pro to do, Mitch? not have a stupid physical button. Let me tap on them.
Well, it's been great doing this show with you, Cam. No, we're just gonna have to disagree or agree to disagree on that one.
That's fine.
So, just like the AirPods Max, we'll just have to agree to disagree. So,
who knew that it was going to be headphones that we would disagree about so much?
I really like the AirPods Max. You really hate them. It's all right.
This is true.
I'm over it. So I think it'll be interesting to see what they do with the AirPods Max. I don't think we'll see an update this year, but I think there's a lot of stuff that they left out of this iteration that will be in future ones, because I think that they needed to get this shipped. And I think the later versions of these headphones are going to be much better than the ones that are currently available.
Yeah, I mean it's a version 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's gonna get better. I think AirPods Pro too, though, like because of the size of them, like we're running into the laws of physics at this point. There's only so much you can do. There's only like sound works the way sound works.
Yeah,
because it's sound, right? And small speakers will never sound as good as larger speakers because physics. But I think that AirPods Pro 2, like there's going to be software advancements where they can sort of fake stuff, right? We've already got the spatial audio and the auto switching between devices and that sort of stuff. But I'm interested to see less what they do with the physical design of the AirPods Pro 2 and more what they do with the software capabilities and that, quote unquote, magic that they can pull off. So I am interested from that perspective, because that means, like they're just pushing stuff forward and what they can do and what they can fake and, all that sort of stuff. So from that aspect or that perspective, I'm excited to see what they can do with itty bitty tiny little headphones, because, new technology is always exciting.
Yeah, I think we'll see some of the differentiating features of the AirPods Max come over to the AirPods Pro, which I think the big one is the audio, the way they're processing the audio and such.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the name they use for that is escaping me right now. So, but
I can't help you out there, because
I know it's just
the AirPods Max are dumb. And I don't pay attention to them, so
whatever. All right,
you're so annoyed with me, and I love it.
All right, well, we do have a quick little second topic on the show today, and I'm going to throw this in here. You suggested a Good Task to me. You're a pretty big OmniFocus user, or have been, right?
Yeah.
So I'm a huge OmniFocus user. I pretty much run my life through OmniFocus, and at some point we'll have the discussion with just like how I work my workflow in OmniFocus, my general. I think we can talk productivity on one of the episodes. I don't like making the show about it, but we can talk about it at some point, and just like my philosophy and your philosophy through how we get things done. But that's another show. But I think we mention this right now because I'd like to take a little bit more time on a future episode to talk about task managers and stuff like that. But you introduced me to Good Task. Actually, yesterday I downloaded it and have been putting stuff into it and trying to kind of see like how would my workflow work if I used Good Task instead of OmniFocus. And my initial reaction, and I'll let you kind of give me your thoughts on this too, but I'll tell you do you want to like at least cover what's different about Good Task before I give you my first impressions of it?
So Good Task is an app that is built on top of Apple's reminders. So it uses, the APIs and everything to build itself on top of reminders. So anything that you put into Good Task will also show up in Apple's Reminders app on lists. But what Good Task does is it adds a bunch of capability and functionality that you do not get in Reminders. So you can make smart lists, you can add tags, you can do all sort, and then with those tags, you can filter by those, whether through a smart list or through a search. It has quick actions, which you can program yourself to allow you to, like, I hit one button and it automatically pushes a task 3 days in the future and sets the due date for 4 p.m. Or I can, hit another button and it asks me, how many days would you like to push this event? Or I can set it due today, or I can set it due tomorrow, or I can remove tags, all by clicking these one button. So it gives you the programmatic ability to build quick actions that work for you based on what you usually do. So that instead of hitting 4 buttons, you can hit one button and it does a task for you. And then with the smart lists, you can filter those. It's just like Perspectives and OmniFocus is essentially what a smart list is. And it gives you the ability to create smart lists based on a number of criteria that will pull different tasks based on whatever you want them to be. So like you can set a smart list to be today and overdue. So anything that has a due date in the past or today shows up on this list. Or you can have a smart list that's anything that's tagged with these 2 tags, but also doesn't have this 3rd tag. And we'll show you that list. So it's really, really powerful. But because it's built on Apple's Reminders app, you get native integration with Siri, which is great because I can just say, hey, and in my case, Siri is an Australian guy. So I can say, hey, mate, put this on my groceries list. And then he does. But then you also get the location ability of Reminders, which can remind you when I leave here or when I show up here, remind me to do this. And you also get the integration of messages. So when I say I need to tell Mitch about this one thing, when we're texting, it'll pop up and say, hey, remember, you're supposed to ask Mitch about this. So you get the native functionality of Apple's Reminders in a better version of the app with Good Task that gives you a whole lot of power and functionality. That's my take.
All right. So I'll give you my first impressions of it. And quite honestly, I like the concept of this app. I was poking around in this yesterday. So the part of the way that I use OmniFocus is I have templates set up, which one of the cool things I like about a Good Task is that you can build templates and just click one button and they just load right in for that day with all the times that you like, all the due times that you want, like you pre-program into those. It's just boom, it's like that. It's there. Instead of what I normally end up doing is going into OmniFocus and copy and pasting from one of my inactive lists into an active list that I have, because I kind of have I have home templates and I have work templates so that I have like an inactive space and an active space for the different things that I have in there, so that I don't have to retype all of these all the time. But OmniFocus does not allow me to put due times in for them, so that all I got to do is pick it up and put it down and the due times are all active for that day, which is what Good Task does. So I struggle a little bit with switching away from OmniFocus for some other reasons, but that is a cool thing that Good Task does. And if OmniFocus did that way, game changer, because that would solve so many of my issues. Because I went through and I put in a template for, like, when we do truck unloads at work, there's probably 12 different things that I need to do to get ready for the truck and then finish the truck. And I have all these things listed in OmniFocus in a particular template that I've built. So what I did is I took that and I transferred it over into Good Task, and I was able to put due times on everything. So like at 9:00, I know that I got to make sure that the truck is scanned into the system. At 6:45, I have to make sure that the truck is ready to be unloaded, because the team gets there at 7 to unload the truck. And I can work backwards, but making sure that the receiving area is clear and ready to go at like 4:25, because I take my lunch at 4:30, and then at 5:00 I come back and I set up for the truck. So I have all these little time things that I do. Well, in OmniFocus, I have to set those times every time I copy and paste into
Frustrating.
into that spot.
Yeah.
With GoodTask, I create a template, and it allows me to put in this day at this time. But the day is literally says this day.
Mm-hmm.
So when I go to the template and select the template to load into GoodTask, it sets all those due times for that day. And so like yesterday was Friday. I went in and I set that template up, and then I selected the template from the list of templates to add to my things to do list.
Mm-hmm.
And it automatically said, okay, Friday at 4:25, you have to have receiving clear. And so like it just set everything up like that, really nice. So really love that. The customizability in this app is really nice. I am getting old and my eyes aren't the way they used to be. No joke, I think this year is going to be the year of the bifocal. So it's getting bad. Like when that little text is
that well-known
really getting hard to
Chinese
read.
zodiac sign, year of the bifocal.
Yeah. So I went into the app settings, and right there was an app setting to increase the size of the font. Now, I don't want system fonts changed.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really nice that it's in the app, so I don't have to go into, because I'm not going to blow up the size of the fonts in messages. Like I go on, my mom will give me her phone to work on, because she's got the
it's like you're getting yelled at by
feature.
every text message you see.
It is, it's huge. So I don't want that, but because I don't need that yet. But in this app, I mean, you've seen it, the type is really tiny in default.
Mm-hmm.
So I went in and I made the type larger, and it works great. Probably could even make it a little bit smaller than it is, but I really like that. One issue I have,
Here it comes.
I put in some repeating tasks. So every day that I'm at work, there are certain tasks that I have to complete. So I go in and I set up these repeating tasks to load in automatically, so that I do not have to do anything. They're just in there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I can go in to a smart list that I created called Today at Work. There's nothing in there, like there should be, because today I'm not working. But when I pull out into the list, do you notice that there's a number after that? It says I have 4 tasks, and I haven't put all my tasks in, but there's 4 tasks that I have to complete for work. It moved. So what it did is I put these tasks in yesterday, and I completed them yesterday. So they moved to Monday, which is what I want them to do.
Yeah.
But I don't want to know that there's anything that needs to be done on Monday. All I care about is today.
You are an OmniFocus user, Mitch.
So OmniFocus gives me the ability to defer tasks. This does not. I can't figure out how to defer a task in this app so that I don't have to see it today. It's such a picky thing, I understand, but that drives me crazy that it says there are 4 things I need to do. If I go into all lists, no, it's not in there. It just shows me my calendar events for today. But if I go into the Today at Work, and then I open up the list, boom, there they are for Monday. And I don't want to see that. I realize that I don't have to see the tasks themselves in that list, but the number's there, and it bugs me. So
that's funny.
I'm willing to give this a try and see if I can find workarounds for some of this stuff, but it is it is a little bit maddening to see that number there. And if I build out this the way that I have OmniFocus built out right now, there are things that I do on Monday. There are more stuff that I would need to put in for Monday because I have a bunch of paperwork that I have to do when I come in on Monday. And so I put that in there. Well, I only do that on Monday, so it would just be a weekly task. That number, from what I understand, that number is going to be there all the time. So I'm going to always show that I've got like 13 tasks that need to be completed, even though it's not in my today at work list because I'm looking at just today.
Yeah.
So that's where, like, that's my problem. Now, I'll tell you why I'm even considering switching to a different app for my tasks, because this looked really cool and I really love that it's on the backbone of Reminders. But because that way, my wife and I share a list in Reminders that we've never really used for anything. So I think it'd be cool for her to be able to put in, hey, go buy milk. And so then I can look at that, and she'll have to text me and let me know. But she can, that'll be in my list and I can go in there and get that done.
We use location reminders.
This is true. No. And
set it for the grocery store. And when you show up to the grocery store, all your lists, all your grocery items show up.
Yeah, but my work tasks are still in there. And that, by the way, the other thing is, have you ever noticed that if you go into landscape mode and then you go back to portrait mode, it took you into a list?
Oh, no, that's a weird bug though.
So, yeah. So I'm looking at all of my lists there. And then I turn it to the side to put it into landscape mode. So now I have a sidebar.
With the list open
and the
on
task
right,
list. Yeah. And then when I stand it back up, I'm in the task list.
Yeah, that's weird. That's dumb.
So, yeah, that is dumb. So that was annoying me yesterday when I was working on it, because every time I tipped my phone a little bit, it took me out of where I was. I think the main reason why I was looking at new apps is I'm looking to cut my budget down a little bit. And Good Task is significantly cheaper than OmniFocus, because I'm paying.
It's a one-time purchase. There's no subscriptions, which I like.
Yep. So I'm paying $10 a month right now for OmniFocus. So where it would be $10 and done if I had Good Task. Or they do give you the option to do like a $9.99 a year, if you really like the app and you want to support its development. But
that's a lot cheaper than $10 a month.
It is a lot cheaper, but man, I don't know if I can get over seeing that number of things that needs to be done every day. I'll tell you what. Here's what I'm willing to do. I'm willing to use this for the 14-day trial. And on the next episode, we'll talk about it and see if I plunk down $10 for Good Task or if I stayed on OmniFocus.
Man, that is a cliffhanger, Mitch. And I'm excited to see what happens.
Tune in next time to find out if I stayed with Good Task.
Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun.
All right. Well, the show's running a little long today, but I do want to get in our things that we're delighted about. So do you have something for today?
Oh, things I'm delighted about.
What delights you today, Cam?
What delights me today? Today I am delighted by music. I like music, Mitch.
Please elaborate.
It makes me happy. I enjoys it. A nice guitar solo, some loud drums, some beautiful singing. No bands or genres in particular, just music in general. It makes me a happy Cam, and a happy Cam is a better Cam. So I've been appreciating just sitting and listening to music more recently and just enjoying the beauty of it. And, I've been listening to all sorts of music, anything from like hard rock to gospel to acoustic to pop music, like genres galore. But just the enjoyment I personally receive from music and, from playing it or just listening, just it fills a very significant part of my life. And I enjoy it very much. And I think you should too. I know that's very like wishy-washy and broad, but like that's where I'm at right now, man. Music is awesome and I love it and I'm glad it's a thing and I'm glad that there's all sorts of different kinds and that I can discover new music anytime I want, whether through Apple Music or YouTube or like there's just always something different to try and to learn about and it makes me happy.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you there. I have loved the journey that I've taken. Now, see, I put together a playlist for when we unload the trucks at work. I think I've talked about that on the podcast before.
Mm-hmm.
And I went back, into the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, and created a playlist that spanned the generations because, I've got people that work with us that are, varied group of people as far as the musical interests that they have. And so I wanted it to be a very diverse playlist, which was hilarious last night because Rage Against the Machine was playing, and right after that, what came on? I Want
Robinson.
Candy from, was it Bow Wow Wow or something like that?
Oh my goodness!
But you get little things like that. I think I've got a polka song in there too, which is hilarious.
Of course you do.
But there's like 200 some songs on this playlist. Well, it's been really interesting to go back and rediscover some of the music that I heard when I was younger. My parents weren't real thrilled with me listening to a lot of the mainstream music out there. Even some of the Christian music I listened to, she was a little bit like, what's this? And maybe you shouldn't listen to that. But
what's a Petra? Because that doesn't sound okay.
They never really had issues with Petra. Actually, that was my first concert that I went to. I think we've talked about that before, though. But have you ever seen the band Savior Machine?
I've heard of them. Yeah.
Okay. So Gothic rock opera is how they're classified. And that was the only band my mom says to this day was the only band that she looked at and she's like, I don't want you listening to that. And it's the way they looked like they were very much like on the performance art thing, but it was interesting. You have to look them up. But yeah, it's been really cool to rediscover a lot of the music from the 90s, especially because I really enjoyed your Nirvanas, your Stone Temple Pilots, some of the Rage Against the Machine stuff that I haven't heard in a decade or better. It was kind of interesting to go back and revisit because I didn't realize how cussy they were back in the day. So that was, now that I have some of my more adult sensitivities to me, it's been kind of interesting to go back and listen to some of that stuff. But some of the stuff that I really appreciate now so much more than I did back then, it's interesting. It's been an interesting journey. So definitely I'm with you on music. So mine's going to be a little bit more specific. And because we do have a history of talking about alcohol on the show, I didn't know what I was going to spend my Christmas money on this year. So there's something that I've really wanted to try alcohol wise for years.
Oh boy, I know where this is going.
I really like the taste of like licorice and anise and just that flavor. I really enjoy that. I'll even get like the anise candies and stuff because it's just, I like that flavor a lot. So I've done Jägermeister before and it's okay. Like it's not great, but somebody said, somebody I was talking to said, you should really try absinthe sometime. And of course
on a spiritual journey here.
Okay. This does not have wormwood in it. So,
okay.
So this is more of an Americanized absinthe. I do I'm going to admit to wanting to try the legit like wormwood absinthe sometime. Just for
hard pass. Hard pass, but you we'll you, Mitch.
But this is a grain spirit, and it's infused with it's got the wheat, but it's infused with lavender, lemongrass, and angelica. So
what did she do?
I don't know what she did to deserve that, but it's made from a local winery that just started getting into a lot of distilling over the last few years, Wallersheim in Wisconsin here. Most of your folks know in this area know the name Wallersheim because they're huge up here. But they got into distilling, and they distill what they call a dance hall absinthe blanc. So it's clear.
Yeah, I got that from
And
the Blanc, but what makes it a dance hall?
I don't know. It's just what they call it. So there's a couple of things I really like about this stuff. First off, I learned the first night I had it, you don't drink it straight. This stuff, if you can imagine Jägermeister, cut the flavor in half and double the alcohol.
Yikes.
And that's what I'm holding in my hand right here. This stuff is 108 proof.
Okay.
54% alcohol in it. So you don't drink this straight. But there is a ritual. If you ever look up in absinthe, there's a ritual to drinking absinthe. So I don't have any of the stuff I need for this, so I kind of fake it. But if you do the ritual properly, you have a spoon that has holes in it. Usually it's a real decorative spoon or something like that. You put a cube of sugar on top of that. You fill the bottle. If you have an absinthe glass, there's a small little cup in the bottom of the cup that you put the absinthe in, and then the rest of the cup you're to fill up with water. So what you start by doing is you put the spoon on top of the cup once you have the absinthe in there.
Yeah.
And you put just a little bit of water on the sugar cube, and that kind of breaks down the sugar cube a little bit, and then that starts kind of falling through some of the holes. And then you slowly pour the water over the top of what's left of that sugar cube, and slowly infuse that sugar into the water. It's kind of an interesting process, but let me tell you, when you get done doing that, this stuff is amazing. Stuff tastes so good. It's just the right amount of licorice flavor, and the alcohol is cut enough that you don't get like that strong alcohol flavor anymore. I mean, have you ever done like a shot of apple cider vinegar?
No.
Okay, so they talk about that for people that have issues with acid reflux and stuff like that. That if you take a shot of apple cider vinegar, you can like, what it does is it forces the body, because of the acid that's in it. It forces the body to stop making acid. That's the theory behind it. That your body's making too much acid, which is giving you the acid reflux. So you take a shot of this, and it basically sends a signal to the body: stop creating acid. We have enough acid in the body. But in the process of doing that, your whole body cringes. Like it hurts your whole body when you do it. That's what taking a shot or taking any of that, like I just give it a little sip straight. That's what this does to you when you take that straight. It is life-changing. It's not in a good way. But I'll tell you, you can sit back and have a couple of beers. You can sit back and, drink a little bit of rum or whatever, and you kind of get that nice, calming effect, but then they kind of mess with your head a little bit. This stuff doesn't do that. The weird thing about how this absinthe affected me is I was totally in charge of my faculties, but my body just, my whole body just kind of like, just relaxed. It was like it took a deep breath. It was like, ugh. So it just had like such an interesting, different effect on my body than other alcohols that I've drank. So, by the way, I feel like we need to throw a little PSA in here. We do not support drunkenness. So just throw that in there. Everything in moderation. Yeah. Anyway, this is definitely, because of the cost of this bottle and the size of this bottle, this is not going to be something that I drink a lot. This is going to be a special occasion bottle. So, by the way, this is the cutest little bottle. I love it. When this is empty, this is going to get used for something else. So, I don't know if I've ever talked about it on the show, but I have a container problem. I love cool little containers.
Duly noted.
The Container Store messes me up.
I was about to ask. So
yeah.
Thank you.
I've been to the Container Store twice when we visited down in Nashville. And yeah, I don't have enough money or time. It's crazy. All right. Anything to add, sir?
Nope. Nothing.
All right. Well, let's wrap up the show for today. Now that we're an hour and 49 minutes in. Holy crap. All right. Maybe we should have pushed good task stuff to next week. But anyway, we'll talk about that again next week. All right. If you want to hit us up on the internet, we are at innerdialogue.show. And you can also hit Cam and I up on Twitter. I'm at Mitch Craig.
And I'm at Cam Brennan. And I've actually started tweeting again. Who knew?
Hey. Very good. And you're at Cam Brennan on Instagram.
Yep.
I am Radio Mitch on Instagram and on Fortnite, by the way. So if you would have been following me on Instagram, you would have saw that bottle of absinthe here roughly a week ago, I think is when I bought it. So good stuff. All right. Hit us up on innerdialogue.show. And we'll see you guys back here next time. Cam, it's been a good one. Thank you, sir.
It has been good. Also, 5G.
I was waiting for that.